So I am a huge fan of James Bond. I've always loved Bond movies, and I'm just a huge fan of the franchise. Who is my favorite Bond, you ask? It's actually a toss-up between Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig. I think both of them did a really great job as Bond. Pierce Brosnan's movies got a little bit weird by the end, like Die Another Day. That was, let's just pretend that one didn't happen. But to be honest, I didn't really like Juan Marsalis that much, and Casino Royale was eh. But Skyfall, whew. So as a fan of James Bond, I was perusing Netflix the other day and I came across this series called Ian Fleming, the Man Who Would Be Bond. And I know who Ian Fleming was. I knew he was the writer of Bond, I knew he was the creator of Bond, and I knew a little bit about his history, and I knew that he was British intelligence during World War II. So it was interested in the show, and so I watched it. I was a little disappointed it was only a 4-episode series, but whatever. So it was done by the BBC, and they pretty much don't do too many bad things, or at least the things that get over here are not that bad. And by here, I mean America. So first off, it was really well written, and the acting was superb. Like I have no complaints from the acting standpoint, or even the visual standpoint, or anything at all. I mean, it was just beautiful to watch these actors just interact with each other in such a natural way. Now, of course, the story is during World War II, where Ian Fleming was in the British intelligence. Now, I will say that World War II, as you may or may not know, you should know, lasted several years. And I feel like the show was too short. I feel like if they had made it like a 10-episode series, I really feel like they could have ironed out a lot of the story issues. Like, I feel like some of it was a little bit rushed. I feel like they really wanted to get as much in there as possible, and they did. They managed to get a lot in there. But I just feel like it had to be way too condensed within the 4-episode format. You know, there was nothing wrong with it only being 4 episodes. I just feel like there was plenty of stuff to do if they wanted to make it longer, but they didn't. And I really feel like the romantic subplot doesn't really have a conclusion. And you know by the end of the show that him and the girl are gonna get together because they're together in the very beginning of the first episode. They just got married and they made a thing about it. And then it's them trying to get together throughout the entire show with different romantic folly in the way. But it didn't really come to a conclusion by the end of the show. Like, they didn't show them getting engaged or show them getting married or anything. It's just left pretty open-ended, which is weird because it was clearly not open-ended by the beginning of the show. So that was a little bit weird, I thought. Like, I really feel like they didn't really iron that out as best they could have. One thing I really loved about this show was the musical score. Like, it was very... I mean, it wasn't necessarily unique in the sense that it just sounded different, and you could have put it in any show of the same nature, and it was good. I mean, the music was good, but there's one thing I really loved about it, is that every so often they would suddenly have the James Bond music build in it, and they never went full Bond theme. I wish they had, because that would have been sweet, but they just had that slight build, and it gets your Bond blood flowing, and you're just like, yeah, James Bond, James Bond. Woo! And there was a lot of little subtle James Bond references tucked in here and there, and different things he did and different things people said. But I just feel like Ian Fleming's life wasn't actually full of, you know, coincidental quotes and references to James Bond. I just feel like a lot of it was his own creativity coming up with these things. By the end of the show, Ian Fleming says he's gonna create this character, and he has an idea for it, and he's going to do something he did as a child, which is combine 2 people he knows, first name and last name, and it's not James Bond, but their other names are James and Bond, and his brother's like, I think you should call him James Bond, and Ian Fleming goes, Bond. Bond. And I really wanted him to say Bond, James Bond. And that would have been the perfect ending. Why didn't they do that? That would have been incredible. I would have gone like, yes, James Bond. My final rating on this show would be a Skyfall out of Live to Die Another Day.
Bond. James Bond.
I really loved this show. If you're a fan of James Bond, you'll probably like this show. If you're just a fan of good British television, you'll also like this show. And if you've got an afternoon to kill, why not?